All right, we're ready to go. Skype seems to be cooperating. I've got my home set up here. Welcome to this special live stream edition of the motherfucking podcast. This is episode number 115. I'm broadcasting from home because the guest that I brought on this week is very serious about getting on the program, and I would make it work whenever he could make it work. So before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much to our patrons for backing everything that we do on the channel and with the band, and helping pay for Tony's plane tickets and the new music video that we're working on, and podcast stuff. Really, everything that we need to stay afloat, especially right now. Man, you guys make the goddamn world go round. You may have seen some of the little clips of the new music video that we've been sending over, the animations that Macy is doing, and they are so badass. And we just simply could not do it without you guys. So thank you very much. My guest this week, you may know him from a little band from San Francisco called Flexx Bronco. You may know him from the Vans. You may know him from a bunch of other great stuff. Here's my old buddy, Phil Bronco, live from Joshua Tree, California.
Hanging loose.
How you
What's
doing,
happening?
buddy?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing. I've had an amazing quarantine, and I don't want to sound like I'm gloating, but I've had a fantastic quarantine, and I've tried to keep up with as many friends, and it's just been such an interesting fucking 8 months.
So what about the quarantine has been so amazing? I mean, besides being in where
and
you
also,
two
hi, man.
lives,
It's really nice to see you.
it's super nice to see you, dude. Have you not seen a lot of people since you've been quarantined?
No, I just we started, recently having visitors as people have kind of been leaving their places and going to see family and stuff. I've had, we had this quarantine crew that kind of started it in like the end of March.
What do you mean a quarantine crew? Like a crew that you hang out with?
Yeah. Well, I started doing those live streams with John Cameron Mitchell from Hedwig,
Oh,
in
no
like the end of
shit. I
at
didn't,
the end of
dude. I have no idea what
March.
you're talking about. Tell me about this. Like from
Uh,
Hedwig,
well,
the Angry Inch.
yeah. So John Cameron Mitchell hit me up. He needed a guitar player. He was quarantined in Palm Springs, which is about 40 minutes from me, and
Get the fuck out of here.
so I was doing these live streams on uh, this live stream platform, and it was called Digital Drag. And so we would they were an hour long, and we did about 5 or 6 of them, I think. And
Hold
so
on,
it
keep
was
talking. I'm gonna
like
look this up while you're telling me about it and see if I can get it up on the
it
screen.
was
Okay.
it was me and John, and then Victor Krumenaker from Camper Van Beethoven, and he also plays in that other band that Beethoven has that was pretty big in the 90s. I can't
What
remember the
what
name
was
of it
the
right now.
what was the name of the live stream series that you guys were doing?
Digital Drag.
Digital Drag. Okay, cool. I'm looking it up right now so I can get it up on the screen. Digital
Yeah.
Drag.
But I started doing that at, right when quarantine started, and we would play Hedwig songs, and we'd play cover songs, and we would play some of his originals, and and my fiance Melissa, and every
Congratulations, by
Sun
the way, if I
thank
hadn't
you.
told you yet.
Uh, every Sunday we would do the live stream, and then we would have dinners and watch movies. And it was kind of, then they would come up to Joshua Tree, and we would have dinners and go on hikes. And it was just kind of like, it was our quarantine crew. And like, we wouldn't do anything all week long. I would just play guitar for 8 hours a day, working on these songs, and then collecting unemployment, and doing these, FaceTime jam sessions with John, and then we would meet up at the end of the week and do the live stream, and then so that lasted for like 3 months or so, and then I jumped back into work, and I've been working down in Palm Springs, and for the last
Doing food truck stuff, or what have you been doing down there?
No. I worked for this restaurant called Workshop, and so it's just been bizarre. And then with everything that's been going on with the BLM movement and the these murder hornets and just everything, just just been such a
life in
bizarre,
2020, all that shit that's been going on.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy, and just trying to keep up with everybody and trying to find enough time to FaceTime or Instagram with friends and just try to see people's faces. But recently, in the last month and a half, I've had visitors, and it's been nice. They come through for a day or two, and we'll go on some hikes and stuff, or we'll make dinners and things. It's been
you pretty much live in a vacation destination, right? I mean,
I do. I've become a perma-vacationer. I mean,
that's great.
Dude, I have fucking flip-flops on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like,
that's the dream, man.
Yeah, man. I created this Airbnb a few years back, and now I live in it. And my fiance and I, when quarantine started, we just started working on the house, and we've created this cabana that I'm sitting in talking to you, and it's just I started this Airbnb compound, and now I live in this Airbnb compound. And
can you show us the property? Like, can you at least do a pan around and show us the property? I want to see this, because I really want to come visit you bad.
Yeah, well, you're always welcome. I don't know how good the phone. I'm on my phone.
I'll let you know if it starts to break up. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean,
Phil, this is a
cool.
dream come true, man.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. We're just kind of.
Dude, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dude, this is like almost exactly like, I mean, that's the dream, dude. My wife and I talk about going out and like living in the mountains and making a compound and like outdoor structures. Like, we want to have the outdoor bathtub and outdoor kitchen, and
I've got the outdoor bathtub and the shower right there.
Oh
my
God, dude, that's a dream come true. You're you're a perma vacationer. That's so cool.
Well, being in San Francisco, the traffic and everything, and I worked in catering for a long time. When I lost the warehouse, for those of you that don't know, I lived in this warehouse for a really long time. And
yeah, we should talk actually a little bit about how we came to know each other, because I really want to know. Like, I've been wondering for a while what led to you deciding to leave San Francisco. But before we get to that, let's give a little background and talk about the warehouse and how you and I came to know each other. So our bands have been playing together for years. I mean, realistically, we've only played a handful of shows together over those years, but we've known each other for a long time, just through touring the U.S. punk rock circuit together. Correct?
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's it, man. Just that network.
Yeah. It was like, I remember we both kind of heard about each other's groups kind of in the MySpace days, and it was always it was
MySpace, and it was through a lot of through the Portland scene and the Seattle scene, and then
just mutual friends from out on the road who would be like, they would go to us and say, have you guys ever played with Flexx Bronco? You guys should really do a show together, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then from what I understand, it kind of went the other way for you guys too, where you guys were kind of going, hey, maybe you guys should hook up with these dudes, blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys were still
fourth-year freshmen. That's right.
Right. So we were originally booked on this show happening during Punk Rock Bowling at the Double Down Saloon together.
The Gutterball Bash, man. Joanne Rockmont.
I have the poster for it. That was, we were supposed to play that show together, and we all came down with the flu, like a really bad, like, I had like 102 fever. I mean, everybody in the band was throwing up. I mean, we all came down with this thing together, and we had to cancel our entire run of shows around it. And I remember Joanne Rock Mom was texting me the whole time as if we could still show up. And I was like, we're fucking, like, I don't know what to tell you right now. Like, like we've done tours with one guy in the band being sick and throwing up in the back of the van. But I mean, every single person in Flexx Bronco at that time was sick with something. And
it was just supposed to be a weekend run, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be 3 or 4 shows for us that we were just kind of a quick little loop that we were going to do that we'd been doing. It was really easy for us. We had it all planned out, and we had to cancel everything at the last minute, and we were all really bummed about it. And I remember I was so sick, and Joanne was texting me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, like, there's still time for you guys to show up. I'm like, we're fucking, like, we're dying right now. Like, Joanne, we've canceled this tour. And I remember it was like, this was a Flexx Bronco Mach 2, I think. So it was like Jackie Lawless was playing guitar, Matt was still in the band. We hadn't become the 4-piece that, everybody knows and loves now, but we
the signature lineup.
The signature lineup that I would call, what has become now the signature lineup. I was so angry. I was like, I mean, I remember running into Joanne Rock Mom, like, weeks after that and apologizing to her, and she was very upset. And I remember then a few years later being like, hey, can I get a poster from that show? Because, you've been to my warehouse. My warehouse was covered in rock art. I had rock art everywhere, and silkscreen posters and everything. And I remember a few years later, after she got over it, she had brought me a poster to, I think, a show somewhere, and she was like, all right, I dug one of these out for you. Here you go. And I was like, thank you, Joanne. But I have that poster. I was looking at it a few months ago as I was reorganizing the posters in my house. But yeah, I remember that. That's maybe one of the last fourth-year freshman posters before you guys became.
It's probably one of the last ones. Yeah, man. Had I known what I know now about how disposable brands are, how many bands there are in the world. If I knew then what I know now, we would have changed our name after the first or second year we were a band. But it was like we had this very very naive and ignorant understanding of the music world, and thought that, like, we had to stick with the name that we had, or we were going to lose our entire fan base, or people weren't going to be able to follow us. And so we did the name change probably pretty close to after that. And that's after, like, really years of hammering on it with the guys.
Yeah. No. We had been told early on that we should change our name early on, but I think
you guys have a great name.
It's fantastic, but we had considered it. I think, because there were some people that just didn't get it, and that's fine. I mean, but the thing is like, a lot like you guys, we're a live band that you got to go and see,
right?
And then once you see it and you kind of put it all together, it's kind of like, oh, I get it, and that's just, so we just, it never, and now we're 19 years into being a band, we're not changing anything now. We got 3 albums out. Like nothing's gonna
it's too
change
late now. You're basically married now. Hey, so on that note, so what has been going on with the band? Like, are you guys continuing to send stuff back and forth, or you guys are just stalled out for now? Or
no, I mean, we're the most unproductive quarantine band, I think, of
There's
all
nothing wrong
time.
with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that.
But we are actually convening in Joshua Tree on August 14th through the 16th. We're actually going to all see each other for the first time since this all started. We played our last show at the end of January. It was a great, fantastic show. Packed house in San Francisco at Bender's, which I did a show with you there where you were playing with Monolith.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, I love that club. That was
we,
great.
we played this amazing fucking show there that was so awesome. And that was the last time that we've all seen each other. That was the last time that we played a show together. And it was really special. It was really awesome. Rontros from the Super Suckers came up and played Thin Lizzy with us. And
Oh, cool. What song do you guys do?
We did Don't Believe a Word.
Oh, that's my favorite Thin Lizzy song, dude. That is seriously my favorite Thin Lizzy song. That's so great.
Yeah, well, maybe you can come up and play with us. And we, like, we just haven't been able to get the whole thing together with doing the live streaming stuff, or we just haven't been able to do it for whatever reason. But we're getting together. They rented a house that's kind of like, it's got like a PA system in it. It's owned by like some musicians or something. So Tony Misfit is going to he's starting like a live podcast thing, and we're going to kind of kick that off for him by doing.
Is he down in Palm Springs, or is he up in LA still?
Tony Misfit is relocated to Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, okay, so he would just be like running the show from Phoenix, and you guys, like, he would like simulcast your stream. Is that kind of what it's looking like it's going to be?
He's driving out here, and we're going to do like a whole live thing with him. I don't know if it's going to be live, because I mean we haven't played together in like 6-7 months. So I think we're going to jam out a few songs, try to get a few things tight, and then we'll probably play a few songs live for him, and then hang out and talk. And so that'll be kind of cool. I mean, I miss my bandmates immensely, and
God, tell me about it, man.
We've done some Zoom stuff and play card games and stuff like that live, and they get together and have smoke sessions and stuff. They're all big into the pots. They all smoke the pots. And they do marijuana, and they'll get together
laying out lines of marijuana.
Yeah, man, they do, they smoke the pots. And so, but I usually work at nighttime when they get together and do that. So I actually haven't been able to partake in hanging out with them and see all their faces. But we text regularly every day pretty much, and have a really long thread going of just goof off stuff. And we all miss each other and love each other, and I'm really excited to see them. I think not this weekend, but next weekend. So it's yeah, man, we're gonna get together and do
really
something.
cool.
And then as far as moving forward is concerned, I mean, we're just kind of playing it by ear. I mean, we had plans to do a live album, and we had a bunch of new songs that we've been woodshedding and working on, and a few of them, one of them we played live a couple of times in the last year. And so I think we're probably getting ready to record an EP or some type of single, and then do some type of a live record that we've been talking about.
And it's probably going to end up being an amazing live record, because people are going to be so excited to fucking go out again. You know what I mean? Like when they're able to go out again.
I would like to capture that.
Same.
I would like to capture people's enthusiasm for going out, and maybe for the last 5 years not being so enthusiastic about taking the live music scene for granted. And right. I think that hopefully some of us that are what I would like to consider great live bands, like you guys consider, as well, can maybe harness that energy. I think it's.
I think we have a responsibility to, you know what I mean? Like we have this responsibility to like make up for, dude, it's going to be like 2 years before shows are shows again. You know what I mean? Like we're going to have this responsibility to like, to be the first bands that people come back to. Cause there's, international bands aren't going to be able to tour for a long time. National tours aren't going to happen for a long time. So it's all going to be a lot of the independents and the people who have, the locals, the people who have a bit more flexibility, who are doing the first rounds of shows when we get the go ahead. That's already what it is here. I don't know how it is out in San Francisco, but like the Oriental Theater, everything on their calendar is like what I would consider a second tier local Denver band.
Well, I don't know what's going on in San Francisco, other than, or just in the Bay Area in general, other than just fucking chaos.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what is going on from your understanding?
I mean, it's just like, it's pretty. California has got it pretty bad. And as far as the COVID stuff is concerned, or the vid, as I like to call it, and I'm not on that Rona train, man. Everybody's talking about the Rona. I'm like, nah, I'm on the
call
vid.
it the vid.
Call it the VID. I got the VID.
I think that's cooler. I like it.
Thank you, man. I'm always,
like
driving
it.
the cool train. I'm always driving the cool train, man.
You're a trendsetter. You always have been.
I'm a few years ahead of the curve, I think, my backyard, I'm gonna build a stage. I'm definitely gonna, when the time is right, I'm definitely gonna have a show here.
So are they doing any socially distanced shows in California, or everything's shut down out there right now?
They're doing there's some drive-in shows here in Joshua Tree. They do these Sunday night drive-in shows.
I've been hearing about those. I've been curious about that.
They're pretty cool. I haven't been able to make it to one yet because I work on Sunday nights, but it's usually around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. And these cars pull up to this little kind of like amphitheater area, and they've been doing like, I watched a little bit on the post live stream. It's violin and banjo players and kind of more acoustic instruments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really cool. People pull up in their cars and watch and hang out. And Joshua Tree and just the Morongo Basin in general is a pretty tight-knit community of musicians and artists,
right,
and just
I've heard that.
Globally minded people. And there's a lot of people here that have been here for a long time that haven't been able to see each other. And I think it's a good way for them to get together. And I think there's more of that going on around California. And I hope it keeps going. And as far as the music scene and stuff, I do know that there's been like some underground clubs that have popped off and people have gotten sick, and they've been shut down by
really underground clubs, like wow, like DIY venues
and house parties and rave underground rave stuff that's kind of popped off that I think's been shut down. I've
heard that's been going on in New York too.
Yeah, definitely. It's been going on, in the cities and stuff. But out here in Joshua Tree, there was some type of a live stream rave that was happening in the village that was really loud, and you could hear it for miles and miles. And the sheriffs kept shutting it down, and then they were turning it back on again and shutting it down, and the locals are getting really mad. And it was just a really irresponsible thing. I think if you're gonna do, I came up in the 90s rave scene out here in the, I was a DJ for a long time, and there was the full moon parties.
I never knew that. That's really cool.
A lot of people don't. I don't talk about it much. But they would do these full moon parties out here in the desert rave scene, LA cats would come out, but they would do it way out. They would follow these dirt roads for miles and miles and miles, and not in the middle of a neighborhood would they set up a full sound system to do a live stream and blast out the neighbors. I thought it was a real amateur move. And
did they have crowds there too?
There was I think there was about 100 people there, and I don't wish them any illness, but I do think it was just a real
It's
bad
super
maneuver.
irresponsible. Like I mean, we're all like, this is the giant suck, man. Like, it sucks for everybody. and it's like, it's just gonna suck longer if people keep doing sucky things. Like, that's the simplest way I can put it, man. It's like we have. Yeah. So I don't know how it is for you guys, but
stop sucking.
Yeah.
Hey, Worlds.
Hey, colossal suck.
All 8 people that are watching this right now, stop sucking.
Hey, man, we have dozens of viewers. I'll have you know.
Dozens of fans.
Dozens of fans.
Stop sucking. Spread the word, because the 12 people that are watching this.
Tell 12 people.
Can tell their 12 friends. And those 12 friends tell their 12 friends. I think we can get hundreds of people to stop sucking.
Yeah, this is a grassroots stop sucking campaign for sure. No, I don't know how it is for you guys, but so I work in the restaurant business here, and when the original shutdown started occurring, Colorado actually did a pretty good job of locking it down and getting things under control. Like, as far as the ranking of the states, we did pretty well. You know, despite the fact that our governor and our mayor were going back and forth a little bit, it ended up working out pretty well. I'm pretty stoked about how the governor did. But now what's happening as a result is, with the summer coming up and Colorado already being a tourist destination, all the states that are now getting shut down for not following protocols in the first place, all their citizens are coming out here on vacation, and they're coming to the restaurants, and they're going out to the bars, and they're bringing those cavalier attitudes with them in some cases. I mean, not everybody, obviously. I wouldn't make a sweeping generalization about everybody from these states, but we have seen a lot more of people with IDs from certain states exhibiting certain behaviors that is congruent with the states in which they were from, if that makes sense.
You mean like Tennessee or something like that?
No, a lot of I've been seeing Ohio. A lot of Florida. I've been seeing a lot of Florida, a lot of California, a lot of Texas, a lot of Carolinas, things like that. Alabama, and I mean, most of the people that have been coming in are totally sweet, but there have been some conflicts with anti-maskers and things like that. It has been going down a little bit.
Well, I live out in America, and it is definitely like that out here. I talk about the musicians and the artist community and stuff like that. That is a very small portion.
There's another part of that part of the country. Yeah. No, there's a country-ass side of California.
Yeah, well, yeah. Once you get out of the cities, California is all America, and it's pretty.
It might as well be the Midwest, yeah.
It might as well be. I mean, once you go an hour outside of San Francisco towards the Central Valley, it's pretty. It's diesel trucks and
Merle Haggard, man, Buck Owens.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a real bad negative side that comes with all that. Yeah. And there's where I live, it is super right-wing Christian. It is super politicized out here. There is, there are these 3 shops in 29 Palms. There isn't one in Joshua Tree because they wouldn't allow it, but there's 2 in Yucca Valley and 1 in 29 Palms. It's called Trumpville, and it's like the most ridiculous. Yeah, it's run by these old people, and they are so stupid because guess what? He doesn't like you. He doesn't like you. He doesn't want to have anything to fucking do with you.
He wouldn't even shake your hand if he met you.
Oh, no, he wouldn't. And you know what? Like, I am in the hotbed of this out here. There are militia groups out here that are training for stuff. I live right next to the Marine base,
No way.
The largest Marine base in the United States is 10 miles from my house, and they do all their desert training out here, and um, the the amount of knuckleheads out here that think it's okay just to barge into the Home Depot without waiting in the quarantine line, um, and that will tell you to your face with your mask on how that mask isn't doing anything for me or anybody around me is astounding. It's insane. Like the amount of fights. There's a kid that got killed who worked at a gas station in Joshua Tree at this like AM PM, and there was a customer that came in that wasn't wearing a mask, and another customer was offended that the guy wasn't wearing a mask, and a fight broke out, and the kid tried to break it up, and he was stabbed by the person not wearing a mask, and they caught the guy.
Fuck out. Jesus.
This is, I mean, it's pretty crazy out here where I live. I'm not saying it's any different than where anybody else lives, but coming from San Francisco, it's a little, I've been going through a little bit of culture shock as far as, as far as how I knew there was knuckleheads out here, but I didn't know the extent as to how deep the rabbit hole went, like it's pretty crazy how politicized this whole thing has gotten. And
I was watching something on this last night, and do you know what Wisecrack is, the YouTube channel?
No, I don't really watch that stuff.
Yeah, they do like philosophical and psychological deep dives into culture and media, and they did an episode on the anti-masker phenomenon, like the people who are protesting it, and they draw a parallel between this and the Spanish flu pandemic. Sorry, my cat Mouse is being an obnoxious butthole right now. Say hi to everybody, Moo Moo. Hi.
Oh, what a cutie.
Yeah, he's rad, but he's loud. The North American screaming cat in his natural environment. Anyway, they did this deep dive on it, and they talked a little bit about, like, in the 1918 flu pandemic, they had anti-mask people in that too. Initially, because they tried to create mandates, and they tried to fine people and jail people if they were screwing up. Like they really tried to enforce it really harshly. And the way that they got people to start actually caring about the masks is they stopped shaming them and ordering them around, and started like making it like the manly patriotic thing to do to wear a mask. And they saw a massive shift in it, and they were able to tip it back the other way. And basically what they were theorizing is that a lot of the people that you are seeing respond this way are just, the good old red-blooded Americans who don't like being told what to do, and they don't, they're just as scared as everyone else, but the way that they're dealing with it is being like, I ain't putting that pansy shit on my face no how. And they posited possibly like figuring out a way just to market it so that it seems like the cool thing to do. I was kind of hoping that when Trump finally got around to putting a goddamn mask on like an adult, I thought that it might shift things the other way, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I just don't understand. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, definitely it's a liberal thing to do, it's just politicizing the mask thing. It's just dumb, I don't discuss politics that much, but like I definitely just don't. This is one reason why. It's just I just don't. The dividing lines now has become so insane.
Absolutely.
I can't wrap my head around it, and religion and politics and all that stuff, and it just drives me absolutely crazy. But I walked into that gas station. I walked into a different gas station the other day to grab some water, and I walk in, and the girl behind the counter had a mask on, and the three construction worker dudes in their fluorescent shirts. No offense to anybody that is a blue collar, hardworking.
I know exactly
person.
What you're gonna say, dude. Go ahead. I know exactly what you're gonna say, and I thought the same exact thing.
the 3 guys that weren't wearing masks were standing in line buying their beers, and I walk in. She says hi to me. I nodded at her, and then the guy in the front of the line goes, "Guess he can't hear you with his mask on." And I just stopped. I just stopped, and I was just like, I'm thinking to myself. I just stopped. I just turned around and walked out. And I was just thinking to myself, no, I couldn't hear you over the color of your shirt. You know what I mean? It was just like, dude, like, man.
Well, what I thought you were going to call attention to is this jumped out at me too. Is like, I saw this construction worker dude in the reflective vest bitching about the mask, and it's like, dude, you're wearing a reflective vest so that you don't get hit by cars while you're working in a dangerous, like when you're working in the middle of the street. Like, we are all essentially.
Why can't you wear a mask too, so that you don't get sick or get somebody else sick? You know, I work in a kitchen. I work on the line. I work in Palm Springs where it's 120 degrees. We have to wear a mask when we're cooking. Everybody inside is required to wear a mask. All guests are required to wear a mask when talking to their server. It is 135 degrees inside of my kitchen.
Yeah.
I have to wear a mask when I'm cooking.
We're required to wear masks.
Yeah, you can wear a goddamn mask while you're outside working. You know what I mean? Like, it's you know, or at least inside of buying groceries, you know, where there's a sign that says you're required to wear a mask upon entry.
I mean, at least wear it inside. Like, that's like, I don't wear it when I'm like with my little boy on our bike and we're out riding through the cemetery and we're not around anybody, you know. But when I'm working in a restaurant, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm like right in people's face, serving them food, talking to them. Yeah. Of course I'm gonna wear a mask. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
You know, if we're lucky enough to play a show sooner than later, and the club promoter said, you know, everybody inside is going to be wearing a mask. You guys, it's no different. You guys have to wear a mask on stage. You know, I would probably go the bandana route or something, but because, you know, you've seen us play. We're a pretty hard rocking band.
Mm-hmm. It would match. It would match the look. Yeah. I don't doubt it.
I wouldn't even bat an eyelash. I'd be like, all right, cool, man. You know, like, no problem.
But you're also and forgive me for saying this, but you are, out of all my friends, the most fashionable out of anybody that I know.
Well, thanks. I'll take that.
Yeah, you're the biggest fashionista out of all of my friends, and I do mean that as a compliment. So I think if you did a show like, you could make the mask work into the stage gear.
Well, you know, it would be the matching Flexx Bronco cod piece that would go with the matching Flexx Bronco mask that would, you know, go, you know,
both rhinestone.
Yeah, we would make it work somehow. You know, somehow we would make it work.
You'd get the lady who did Thor's robe. Wasn't she Ric Flair's designer? Is that a true story?
She had the lady that Thor has a couple of those wrestling robes, and the last one that he had made, the one that he's, you know, with the big Flexx Bronco thing on the back of it, he had made by a lady who had done a bunch of Flexx Bronco robes. Yeah.
So you mentioned just a second ago, you mentioned playing shows with masks. Are you guys going to play some of the first wave shows when clubs start opening up, or are you guys going to hold off? Like, have you discussed your plan for that?
Hold on one second. My phone is overheating. No, I mean, we haven't discussed anything about any of that stuff. I've gotten some, you know, booking emails and stuff from various promoters around that, you know, we've worked with in the past that are, you know, gearing up to do something.
No, shoot. I think his phone overheated. Shoot. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. I think we're going to have to cut it there, and unless Phil's able to call back in. It looks like his phone overheated and we lost him on the episode. I already got him a little bit longer than I think he was planning on, which I think is really cool. he didn't think anybody was going to want to listen to him talk for that long, but we got to hear a bunch of stuff. I'm going to see if he wants to do a part 2 going forward in the future. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for everything that you guys do to support the channel, support the band, support everything that we're doing. Man, and just get on Patreon to help some other artists or intellectuals or academics or other creators. There's all kinds of people who are able to do what they do because of support of people who dig their stuff. So check it out. Yeah, we definitely lost Phil. Yeah, he's gone. All right. Want to give a shout out to Evergroove Studio up in Evergreen, Colorado in the Black Mountain region. 70% solar powered, really amazing place. We love you guys. Ethan Klein, our tech guru, is on loan from Evergroove. We've actually got some music coming out of there here very soon. We're finally getting ready to drop the Acropolis Now video, which we've been very excited about. What else? We're getting ready to drop the Be Cool track off the old new Frontlines of Good Times Volume 1 sessions. And then we got a bunch more stuff in the can that we're going to be kind of piecing out over the next couple of years while the pestilence rages on and we try and raise our kids in a post-apocalyptic dystopian nightmare. Anyway, no, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty great. We're super fortunate. Yeah, Evergroove Studio. Right on. RocketSpace Rehearsal Studios, the official rehearsal space of motherfucking Ruckus and a bunch of other great bands. Ty and I were just there last night. I'm not much of a guitar player, but it's been really cool to go and just sit down and jam with my boy. He is being very patient while I just play what I can for him, and it's just cool to have a place where you can sit down and bang on some drums and plug in guitars and make some noise, man. And their rates are great. We paid $28 for a 2-hour rental, and I got to hang with my boy and blow my eardrums out for a little bit. It was super fun. We love you, Kate. We love you, RocketSpace. Burn TV. Hey, this is normally streamed live from Burn TV Studios in an undisclosed location in the Rhino District of Denver, Colorado. Burn TV is the home of the Nug Nation, the motherfucking podcast, Hemp in History, and a bunch of other great hemp-related programming. Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back. I think we're getting him back. Are we getting him back? We might be. While he's getting in, Flipside Music. I was just there yesterday. I just picked up a tuner and was talking with the guys about what I want to do for a guitar setup. I was looking at a new Strat that I might be picking up. I looked at a bunch of pedals. They answered all my questions. They, are really helping me to realize my vision for what I want to do with my guitar setup once I get it going. It's been really cool talking with those guys. Of course, our most venerable Navanarial sponsor, Matula Plumbing. Hey, we got you back, bud.
Yeah, sorry about that. When it's like, when it's it's really hot outside and there's this fire going on, and combined with my pink shirt and my sexiness, I think
it just overheated the phone.
Yeah,
it's
our
cool.
Conversation. We overheated the phone with the conversation.
That's right. We were starting to get. That was some hot talk, man. 1-800-HOT-TALK. Dude, let's start a side project called Hot Talk, man. It'll just be
Hot
you and
talk.
me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hot talk.
Yeah, hey, it's cool. I started doing the sponsor shout outs anyway, so I'm gonna wrap those up here real quick. Matula Plumbing. Matula! Shit rolls downhill. Don't be at the bottom. Your number 2 is our number 1 priority. Angie's List Super Service Award winner back in 2011. 1-1 is the only one that matters. After that, it got all political. He'll wear the booties for you. Jerry Matula in the Chicago area. He's your dude. The master of poopers himself. Ride the porcelain throne. Hey, Mutiny Information Cafe. This is a Mutiny transmission, which is a media service division of Mutiny Information Cafe at 2 South Broadway. Mutiny is everything. comic books, coffee. No one has a larger selection of Torrini syrups. No one. Man, they got it going on. And they've got a new mural up on the side. It looks great. They've been staying busy through the pandemic. They've been keeping you stocked up with coffee and everything else you need to give your life a little bit of normalcy. Tell them the boys sent you next time you're in there. Yeah. If you're just joining us, I'm here with my guest, Phil Bronco from Flexx Bronco. I was just telling them, I was like, man, if we can't get you back on, we got to do a part 2 because, dude, we were just starting to hear, we were just starting to get into the meat and potatoes. It takes a little while to get the brain all lubed up, but once it gets going, man, you start to get the good stuff.
I just like hearing the sound of your voice. I'm getting
it's very soothing.
It's like, I'm getting, you give me the tinglies. I'm getting the tinglies just listening to you.
It's the bass. It's like sitting next to like the subwoofer at a show, but like with the volume turned down real low, I'm
having like an ASMR experience with
That's
you
what I was trying to
right
think
now.
of. ASMR.
Yeah.
So where were we? We were talking about what your thoughts are on once shows start going again in San Francisco. What is it going to take for you to feel comfortable getting on stage again? Is it just being asked? You said you've been getting some offers and some inquiries. What do you need to feel like you can do it?
For me, it's just like, so the restaurant that I work at takes every precaution. They wipe everything down all the time. Temperatures are taken before we walk in the building. Temperatures are taken when we leave the building. You write down, like, guests can't come in unless they have their temperature taken. I just really feel like clubs, bars, venues need to take every precaution. And that means taking temperatures, wiping things down, making sure that things are clean, making sure that their employees understand that, no wipey, no showy. You know what I mean? Keep everything clean, take every precaution.
Yeah, we keep disinfectant all over. We keep ISO for wiping down the screens. I don't know what your POS system is, but we use Toast, so we wipe everything, like all the touch screens down, and everybody's got to wear gloves, and everybody's got to wear a mask, and we have hourly sanitation protocols, and like we have our COVID SOP, and that's just the way it's going to be for a little bit. So you think that clubs are going to have to get really serious about that before they can start doing shows? I think
clubs are going to have to get serious. I think they're going to have to lower their capacities. I think, masks are going to need to be required, but I don't see any of this happening on any type of a regular scale until there's some type of, like, what do you call that? Like a vaccine,
right.
Then we can just kind of go back to some type of a normal. I'm also not really qualified to talk about any of this stuff, but this is just what I see from being in the restaurant industry currently, how the pro restaurants are staying open, and that's by making people feel safe. And I don't want to walk in there with all my gear and everything, knowing I want the other band that we play with to also wipe down their gear and sanitize everything and wear masks, and that would make me feel safe. But I work for a fairly large, well-known restaurant, and we're very busy, and I'm around people all the time, and they're all masked up, and everybody's masked up, and I've been doing this for over 2 months now, and in Riverside County, it's pretty fucking bad, and with the second wave, and I haven't had any issues.
Right.
And nobody's been sick really, and I think we had one person get sick, and they haven't been allowed to return to work, and so I think clubs and bars have to handle it the same way.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my neighbors about that today, and it's like, I would love it if everybody could just get paid to stay home. I would love that. I've got a little boy at home. I've got, the wife who's breastfeeding here at home. They very much depend on.
Congratulations!
Hey, thanks.
Congratulations on joining the posse. Everybody in Flexx Bronco, aside from me, has a kid now. Guy Thunderbird has recently had a baby a year ago.
Oh, he had a baby too? That's great.
Yeah. And E-Rock has
he has
2
a brood.
girls. Yeah, and Thor has 2 boys, and I'm a dink, double income, no kids. So.
Yeah, but like, I was talking to my neighbor about this today, and it's like, Sarah does everything she can to keep our kids safe and to keep our parents safe and the people around us, and we do our best to minimize contact. But at the same time, I'm going and working at a restaurant every night. I am interfacing with the public, and luckily no one where I work has gotten sick, but I have heard stories about other people catching it from people at work and then not, staying at work 3 days sick before taking time off, or not telling anybody because they can't afford to lose the income and things like that. And while I appreciate the narrative that, like, food service people are essential workers and we're on the front line and we're these heroes and stuff like that, it kind of feels like pinning a medal on someone before you shoot him out of a cannon. You know what I mean? It just like, it's like, you're a hero, kid. Kaboom! Like, it's just,
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't want to be shot out of the cannon, but like, I have to in order to provide for my family, and
right.
it's my concern with clubs and bars is that, and this is so we've been doing socially distanced shows in Denver. Like I said, some of the bigger places have been doing some stuff, like the Oriental Theater has been doing, like, they have like a 750 capacity, and they've been doing like 80 ticket shows and things like that.
I'm positive I didn't hear you correctly. Then what's the name? What's the name of the theater?
The Oriental Theater? Oh yeah.
They're gonna have to change that name.
Nah, they've been petitioned before, but it's like, dude, it's been around since the turn of the century. Like, some of the first talkie pictures in Denver happened at that theater. Yeah, I mean, it's come up. Don't think it hasn't come up, because it's come up.
I know. I'm just joking around. That was a little inside joke going out to some of my friends. Yeah.
Yeah. It's but
especially with everything going on.
Oh,
football teams are changing their names and everything.
I know.
Well, finally,
dude, dude. So one of the gals, our director of operations over at Burn TV, over at the Nug Nation, her main gig is she works in the PR side and the marketing side of the porn industry. I won't name the company that she works for, but it's one of the big ones. And she was saying that she actually had to attend a Zoom meeting with the head of this company where they had to go through and do an audit on their titles and pull any of their titles with quote unquote problematic titles. Like, I'm sure you can imagine the names of some of the titles that might be considered problematic in today's climate, but she was, naming a bunch of them off to me, and it's like even in the porn industry, man, like, things are changing.
Like young white girls suck black cock, like that type thing.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, for real. And but even more than that, like the actual movie titles, you know what I mean? Like, if you go to a site that, like, I forget who the comedian is, but there's some comedian who has a bit on that where he talks about all the, like, names of the different sites that are, like, specialty sites. I won't go into it because I don't want to draw that type of attention to myself, but yeah, she actually had to attend a meeting, and she was talking about, like, she's like, I named some of these movies. She's like, some of these names are things that I came up with, and now we're going to have to go through and just pull them out. And it's like a whole side of it I never even thought of. But anyway, the Oriental Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oriental Theater, they're going to have to change that name.
Well, they either have to change the name or it has to be okay for hornyentals.com to stay open. That's, No, but at the Oriental they had they have like an 800 capacity, and they've been doing like 80 ticket shows, right? And Gordo, who's normally my co-host on the show, who produces the podcast, his band Granny Tweed did a show, and he was telling us about it on the show, and he's like, yeah, they had social distancing protocols in order, they had mask rules in order, but once people start getting drunk and having fun at a show, like, nobody's paying attention to that stuff. Like, nobody's...
Yeah, we 86 people all the time from, and we only have outside seating now in California. So, like, there are people that show up and order drinks to their table and or they show up drunk already. And we just, their masks aren't, they're...
Yeah, we've run into a ton of that. We've run into a ton of that and had to 86 some people too.
Yeah, sorry, you're gone. You guys got to go.
Yeah, we have a sign up on our door that just says no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service, and we're kind of like a hippie chicken wing joint. So we're generally like, yeah, we're a restaurant, and we want people to have great experience and blah blah blah. But then our owner got into it with an anti-masker dude and like had to 86 him from the property and this whole thing. So they put the sign up. And I think you probably met Fatty. He was one of the dudes from White Fudge. He's actually come on tour with us a couple of times, but he lives with Tony's sister here in Denver, who has she has Crohn's disease, so she's immunocompromised. So he's very serious about the protocols and the guidelines and safety and things like that. And he comes to pick up an order of wings from us, and he looks down at the sign. And then he looks over at the tables and sees the people not wearing masks at their tables, because here, it's like, as long as you've got a mask when you're up moving around the property, you're fine, but you don't have to wear one at your table with your group, whatever. He looks around and he goes, the sign doesn't seem to be working. And I go, oh no, they don't have to wear a sign when they're at their table eating food. And he kind of goes, oh, I get it. The virus hates dinner. and it's like just calling attention to just like,
you should wear a shirt. You should make a shirt that says like the virus hates dinner.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he was calling attention to like there is like an arbitrariness to a lot of the protocols, but it's like the best we can do at this point is like slow things down and try and ride it out for as long as we can until, like, I mean, I don't know. Everything that I've been reading seems to be all, even though there's all these vaccines that are in trials, it'll be years before a market-ready vaccine will be available. And it's, so this virus is just, it's going to have to move through the population, We're going to have to slow it down and just like hunker down and wait it out for a really fucking long time. And it's because of that, and I've mentioned this before, that my thinking on it is I don't even want to play a show until there's no guidelines in place. Like, I don't even want to play a show till I can kiss people on the mouth without worrying about it.
I mean, that, I'm there with you too on that. But I guess I'm not as extreme in that right. regard. But right. If I was told that venues aren't going to open up and bars aren't going to open up until that stage, I accept it.
Right.
I accept
well, I mean, if Tony lived here, like if Tony lived in Denver and someone asked us to come do a socially distanced show with masks and all that, I would totally do that. But for us, it's just, we have to fly a guy in We have to put a guy on a
Yeah.
plane and bring him in and bring him out here to go play a show. Now, if our Rose Tattoo show ends up happening in January, which it's like fingers crossed, but also I'm not counting on it. You know, it's so up in the air. You know, that's an opportunity I'm not going to miss for the world. You know, so it's like, you know, you got to weigh it. Yeah, I suppose. I don't know,
Well,
man.
you know, I'm that guy. I'm now your Tony. So
Right.
I don't know. It depends on you know, what the other guys want to do. You know, I'm only, you know, 1/4 of the equation. So I don't know how they feel, really. We haven't really talked about it.
Right.
We haven't really talked about that stuff.
I don't think
As
anybody's
far
had
as,
much of a chance to talk about it because it's just
yeah,
like the world's
I
gotten
don't
the
know.
ant farm has been shaken up, you know what I mean? And everybody is like, months later, we're all just still reeling from this shit. I feel like collectively we're all just sitting around licking our wounds, just going, I can't even think about playing a show right now, you know?
Well, I'm a social guy. I've hooked up with some friends here in the basin, and I've been playing music with people here and trying to keep my chops up. And I did that John Cameron Mitchell thing, and like I honestly think that live streaming is probably gonna be what people need to get hip to, and I
Right.
feel like I will probably play some more local house party-ish things here with some of the people I've been playing music with here than I go and play a bigger show with Flexx Bronco.
It's cool that you guys have the outdoor space out there like that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's almost
I
like,
will be
go
having a
ahead.
party here when it's safe. When it's safe, I will be having a rager here. That's for
Please let
sure.
me know when you do, because I would love to come out. And I would love to come out.
I won't. But I'll send you the link to the live stream.
Yeah, I won't. You're not invited, but that's cool. You can watch from home.
No, well, I will absolutely
Okay, fine.
invite you. I'll probably invite your band too. I'm watching this gigantic dust devil across the highway from me right now. I mean, it looks like it's massive. I wish I could show it to you.
So on that note, because I've noticed that there are some of my friends who just seemed to be able to work out a situation that was very pandemic friendly before even knowing that it was going on. Like, did you have a premonition that told you to go down to Joshua Tree, or what was it that told you it was time to get out of San Francisco and go do something else?
Well, I didn't know it at the time. Everybody else seemed to know it. Like, I remember Kevin had said to me, like, when I announced that I was moving, that he knew I was moving down here the minute that I left the warehouse. And it just took 2 years. But like, I had been living in the East Bay and traveling 11.5 miles across a bridge, sitting in 2 hours of traffic each way, usually a 3-hour round trip to go 11.5 miles in the Bay Area. For those of you that don't know, the traffic in the Bay Area is
Horrendous.
Really horrendous. I mean,
It's so
just
bad.
It went from with all of the gig economy and everything going on and all the extra cars on the road, you just can't get anywhere. And it happened really quickly. And the Bay Area is not structured to handle that amount of cars on the road at any time. There's all these bottlenecks and things just back up. And so you just can't get anywhere. And all the arteries get clogged. And there's all these big conventions that have pulled out of San Francisco recently because of all the shit on the streets and the homeless people and everything. So they put these big conventions in the middle of the town, and that clogs up all the arteries. You just can't fucking get anywhere. And I was really having a hard time traveling back and forth every day, and I was really miserable, and I was gaining weight, and I was really stressed out. And my fiance came home one day from sitting in traffic herself one day, and had just had it, and was just like, why don't we just move? Let's just get the fuck out of here. Let's just move to the house. And
because you already had the Airbnb set up at that point, and had it been something that you planned on living in, or was it simply?
Honestly, I could never have imagined myself leaving the Bay Area. You know, having such
You're a city dude for sure.
Total city dude. Super deep roots. You know, I worked out quite a network for myself and for my friends, and you know, I had a whole thing going on there. That was, you know, I had my restaurants, I had my bars, I had my, you know, man about town. And I honestly, as soon as she came home and said, babe, let's move to the house in Joshua Tree, I just kind of was like, oh, yeah. You know, I was told like a Randy Marsh moment. You know, I was just like, oh, sure. Like, you know, I was like, oh, we're gonna, you know, all of a sudden it was like I could see myself with the tractor do Integrity Farms. You know what I mean?
Right,
like
totally.
the big hat, like moving the tractor around, like, you know, and like chewing on a fucking, you know, like I was just like, I don't know why I had never.
The Green Acres theme just started playing.
Totally, exactly. I don't know why I had never thought about it. Everybody else seemed to know that I was moving down here long before I knew that I was moving down here, and nobody was surprised.
It's so different. It's so different from, you know, because when I met you, for people who don't know, like you had that warehouse space forever. Like
16 years I had that warehouse space. Yep.
16 years.
Yeah.
Right down in Hunters Point, right?
Yeah, in the Bayview. I had built a whole entire world around that place. You know, I started businesses out of there. I'd given artists a home. I'd given musicians a home. I'd given musicians a place to crash. I'd done shows.
Where the band rehearsed.
I'd done band rehearsal. I'd done countless fundraisers out of there for, you know, for cancer and for fire funds and flood funds for people in Houston, Texas, and done shows for just, you know, early on we did after hours parties there with bands every week, and we, you know, it was just like I just built my entire world around that place. Right. And when it was gone, and I put everything into storage and sold stuff off and moved into a 10 by 10 room in Oakland, I was kind of, you know, I'd already purchased this place down here, and the whole thing just kind of happened so fast that, you know, I guess I needed some time to realize that to acclimate to regular life, which regular life meaning like having neighbors, like having neighbors and hearing people outside my window was like a fucking whole new experience for me. You know, I moved into that place when I was 25 years old, and had just kind of started, you know, Flexx Bronco was kind of in our first like 2 years of being we're in our infancy, and like that whole 16 years of life, you know, half of my 20s, all of my 30s, was just, I grew a lot in there. I saw people grow in there. I saw so many people came and went, and it was just time for that chapter to end. Right. And it was sad the way that it ended, because of the ghost ship fire and all those people losing their lives. And
so a lot of it was related to the ghost ship fire. I didn't
It was
realize
100.
that.
It was 150% related to the ghost ship
Because I
fire.
just learned about this like 2 episodes ago. Like we looked it up and looked up the Wikipedia and everything because we ended up talking about like DIY venues and things like that. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that the ghost ship fire was the reason that the Flexx Bronco warehouse went down. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, totally, man. Like I turned it into a fundraiser event. We raised $2,600, I think, for this guy that used to work for me named Edmund. He worked in our cafe at 111 Minute Gallery, and he perished in the fire. So his mom, I contacted his mom and said, "I'm doing this fundraiser event in your son's name," and God, I'm getting a little choked up thinking about it. We did we did this event for him, and we raised $2,600 for his scholarship funds, and sent that to his mom. And I could have just done a fundraiser event for the roommates that had to move out. Um, but instead, I wound up giving them a little bit of money out of my pocket from my lawsuit um, with the new owners of the building, and I told them all that I was going to do this fundraiser for Edmund and his mom and the scholarship fund, and they all agreed. They said that was the right thing to do, so that's what we did. So I turned, because it was just like, why this sucks that we all have to leave this rad place. This chapter is ending. Let's go out on a high note. What's the highest note that we can go out on? And that's
Right.
raising
It
money.
would have been very easy to just feel bitter about being caught up in the sweeping closures that happened with a lot of DIY spots, but because you guys, suffered a personal loss from it, you were able to, like, through your final actions in there, really make a statement and say, hey, this is like, we're sad to see this place go, but we're going to do everything that we can to create some sort of positive benefit after this horribly tragic loss.
Yeah, exactly. And
Which is
that
so awesome. That is like such a cool thing, man.
well, thanks, man. I mean, I don't didn't do it for any type of praise, but what it led to was the very last 2 nights or something of being there. We did another one because it was like, we're gonna have a going away party. Let's have a blowout. We did a fire. No, what did we do? The very last one that we did was a fundraiser for the Houston floods and fire victims from first the first round of big fires that were happening up in wine country
Right,
that had
right.
devastated, the Northern California fires. So we raised like another $2,000, and I sent $1,000 to this couple that had lost all their gear in this rehearsal studio in Houston, and then I sent like another $1,000 to the Red Cross in Northern California to help with, blankets and feeding people and all that stuff.
You big old softy. I didn't
You
I
know,
you know what? I never knew you were
it's
such a philanthropist, man. I really didn't.
I'm not, but we did a couple Turbo Hugans fundraisers too. We did one for children's cancer. One of Bobby Wilcox's bandmates kid had cancer, and we did a small Turbo Jugend event, and raised, I don't know, it was like $800 or something, and we gave it right to it. Help them buy some food and whatever, could put it towards the rent, whatever.
Right.
I'm happy to say that their kid made it. he's alive
Yeah.
and he's doing well, and that's awesome. And I used to do fundraisers on my food truck too. We would do, Kevin and I would come up with a crazy sandwich idea or whatever, and we would donate proceeds from whatever. If we sold 20 sandwiches that day, then all the proceeds from that sandwich would go towards another. I think I like children's cancer funds. I think it's a if I'm gonna pick a charity, I think it's children's cancer for me.
Right. Yeah, I did St. Baldrick's this year. It was a lot of fun.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah. My the company that I work for, we did a big group St. Baldrick's between both of our restaurants, and we were supposed to have a live head shaving event, and COVID hit.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
So we were kind of waiting it out, and we had raised X amount of dollars. So a bunch of us just we just live streamed I live streamed my head shaving from my kitchen.
I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I think I saw a little bit of that.
Yeah, we raised a good bit of money for children's cancer, man. And I got to tell you, like, I think that when we do things like that, the biggest benefit is not the money that we raise for the people we're raising money for. The biggest benefit is that human beings, like, have you ever heard of the concept of egoic altruism? Like, basically, like, there is.
I don't think I can say. I don't think I can even pronounce that. But yeah.
So there's this thing that is in us. It's an evolutionary development that basically, at some point in human history, 160,000 years ago.
Don't say that word too loud here in the Morongo Basin. I might get firebombed.
Evolution?
Some of the Christians.
Don't talk about evolution. Okay. They can hear us talking about it. They're alerts. It's like a dog whistle. They can hear it.
They're gathering outside with their torches right now. I can see them. All right.
Well, but so 160,000 years ago, when human beings are first forming tribes and things like that, are, out in the middle of Africa, cradle of civilization and all that. Like, first humans are getting together and kind of banding up, and they began to realize, like, there was two developments. Gossip is one of them. Like, being able to gossip with people made it so that you were able to relate to other people. It made it so you were able to form alliances and whatnot. But then also egoic altruism, which is this idea that if I do things that help people out, then if I do things that are kind, then I will be accepted by the tribe, and they will look out for me, and they'll keep me from getting harmed, and they'll allow me to shelter near them, and we'll protect each other, and we'll share food, and we'll share resources, and we'll look out for each other's kids. It's this evolutionary thing. So human beings are very tribally conscious, and when we see other people doing kind things, philanthropic things, charitable things, it inspires us to do charitable philanthropic things. And this company that I work for, they Fire on the Mountain Buffalo Wings, shout out to Fire on the Mountain Buffalo Wings, they have they plan their charitable giving for the year. Like, every month we give a portion of our proceeds to some charity. We participate in the St. Baldrick's, we participate in all these different things. And going to work for that company has made me a less selfish person. It has made me more interested in doing charitable things and philanthropic things. And listening to you talk about all the stuff that you did with the warehouse space and that you've done through the band and through the Turbo Yugen and whatnot, like, just listening to you talking about it is like sending off a trigger in my brain that is just like, oh man, that's really inspiring. Maybe I should do more charitable things with the band. Maybe we should do more benefit type of stuff. What can I do to help these people that still need help? Just because there's a pandemic and civil unrest going on doesn't mean that those are the only problems in the country. There's still all these problems that existed before and people who need a lot of help. And I just think it's wonderful, man. I really didn't know that about you.
Well, I don't, it's not something that I go on and promote, you know. It's like I started doing these events. It was like, oh, I'm turning 40. I've heard that I'm going to lose my warehouse. I'm going to have a big party. God, woe is me. My life is so fucking terrible. But there's all of a sudden it's like, well, you know whose life is terrible? This guy's mom.
Right.
Who just burned up in this other warehouse fire.
Right.
I'm going to reach out to her and see what I can do for her.
Right.
And
yeah, it's amazing. It really is amazing.
Like, I don't know how it all kind of like started with me wanting to like look at my problems and then be like, well, I'm pretty bummed out right now. Like, but this person's way more bummed out than me. I got a roof over my head. I have food. I have a job. I have a car. I have friends. Right. But this guy over here, his kid's in the hospital, and he's got to scrounge up money, and he's doing fundraisers and stuff. I've got this show coming up. Well, why can't this show that we're doing come up be a fundraiser? Hey, let me reach out to all the other bands and see if like
they're cool.
We can make this show a fundraiser. And
why not? Yeah. Why not?
And pretty much, you know, everybody's on board. And, you know, the last one that we did was in November, right before I moved. And it wasn't well attended. And that's fine. I don't care. You know, the promoter, we still did. It was for the other fires that happened. Not just like this last, you know, now we have fire seasons in California.
Right.
So like,
which is crazy.
Another huge round of fires that started up, I think like in October or something, last October. And so we did a show in November in the East Bay with some friends, bands of ours. And I think we raised, you know, a few $100 to go to a fire fund. And it's like, yeah, you know, if you're in your 20s and you're a broke musician, as we all have been, okay, I get it. Like, you want to play a show so you can pay for your rent, for your rehearsal space, and this and that. But, you know, if you're in your 30s and you have a career going on, or you're in your 40s and
you have more disposable income.
It's like, gosh, I almost feel like every fucking show that we play at this point should be some type of a charitable event.
Or at least a percentage of it.
A percentage of it. If the show does really well, it's like, fuck, give $100 to a canned food drive or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and that's what a lot of these charities need is they need cash. They don't need donations. They need capital to be able to do their best work.
When I was a raver back in the 90s and we would throw parties and stuff, you would get a discount at the door if you showed up with a can of food. So I don't understand why that still can't be a thing,
right,
in the punk rock community. Or
they used to do it in the punk rock community.
They still do sometimes, but I just think it should just be a thing. Like, hey, the cover at the door is $10, let's say, but if you want to, you know, and that goes to, you know, everybody. That goes to the sound person, a little bit goes to the house, and some of it goes to the bands. But what about if, like, you paid $12 and then $2 of everything off the top went to, you know, Children's Cancer Fund or something like that? Like, that would be rad, and I would like to see more of that going on.
Well, if you took like 5 to 10%, you know, you took 5 to 10% off of every ticket, and especially if you've got a venue that does 300 shows a year, you know, that starts to add up. And
that adds up. And, you know, there are musicians out there. I personally like to work and target musicians and artists who's, you know, that's who I've helped out. My friend Sluggo, we did a fundraiser on the food truck for his kid. We did a Coca-Cola braised pork sandwich. His kid loved Coca-Cola, so we came up with a recipe that involved Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? So it was just like, you know, I'm in the music community. I want to help out musicians or artists who, you don't have millions of dollars to, you know, your kid has leukemia, you're a musician, what the fuck are you going to do? at least a little bit that your community can do, can come together and help you out. And a lot of musicians don't like to ask for help, which is stupid because we all know that we all need fucking
Right.
help.
There's
You know what I
some
mean?
there's some injunction against it. There's an injunction against it, and it was we started our Patreon the same year that Allegiant started theirs, and there was this big sweeping criticism. People didn't really like the way that Allegiant approached their pitch, and so there was this big reaction because people love to hate shit on the internet and love to pile on to people and throw each other under the bus. Like, we're pretty much just sitting around waiting for Windows to throw rocks at. But so around the same time that we started our Patreon, there started being this big sweeping injunction against crowdfunding and charity for, like, basically asking for what was called begging, using platforms like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or even Patreon for independent musicians. And so you didn't see as many bands signing up for those things anymore because it became uncool to ask for help. When, my experience has been people want to help. People want to make a contribution. People want to go, what is a dollar amount that I can manage, that I can contribute to you doing the thing that you do that I think is awesome? And that can be a band, or that can be a charity that helps out fucking sick kids with cancer. You know what I mean?
I think because that's, there's such a stigma on that,
Right.
that you almost just have to, the first things first is you have to say that this is a fundraiser. First thing first, and it can't just be like, your band's Patreon page. It's, maybe there's
Well,
got to
but
be
what I'm talking about with the with what you're talking about instead of, like, kind of what is popping into my head as we're having this conversation is maybe instead of like having a fundraiser, having a benefit show every once in a while, changing the thinking to be every show is a benefit. Every show that we play, we're going to take a percentage of what we earn and we're going to give it back. We're going to use it in some sort of useful charity. Then that kind of bypass. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Right. You pick like a different charity every year that you're going to donate 10% of everything that you take in. Cause then it's like this small amount, but pennies add up to dollars, and it ends up being something to somebody. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I think even the littlest amount, means the world to people. If we can help musicians in a flood buy a new crappy amp.
Right.
That's a new crappy amp that they didn't have.
They're able to play gigs now because of that.
Yeah, totally. And they can go and play music again. And it's like, all right, that also helped take away the stigma of just, people feeling like every musician's just a charity case in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
we're all begging. Like they call it begging. And I really, I don't like that way of looking at it. Like trying to include people in building something or in supporting a great cause is somehow begging, or is it's like tossing quarters at a guy who's sitting, on the corner or something like that. I don't like that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. The cool thing about the second large fundraiser that we did at the warehouse, the last one that we did, was all the bands that I had asked the first time came and did the second one, plus more bands. And
because the word got out.
When I told them, I was like, hey, twice as many bands want to do this, last warehouse show. It's going to be another fundraiser. It's going to be for fire victims and flood victims. Every band from the first show was like totally in without even like hesitation. and then more bands. It was like everybody just like piled on, and we had a film crew there, and everybody was just like in it, and it was like,
Well, then it becomes a cool thing to be a part of. Then it becomes something
totally.
that's bigger than yourself. It's not just a benefit. It's like, this is a cause that we all can agree upon and that we can all get behind.
Exactly that everybody can agree on and get behind, and I wish that was more prevalent in musicians.
Well, you're a trendsetter, Phil. So
once again, we go back to me being a trendsetter.
yeah,
and
yeah. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna change your stage name. You're no longer Phil Bronco. You're Phil Anthropic.
Philanthropic. Yeah, that's my drag queen name.
Phil Anthropic.
My fiance is laughing right now. But yeah, it's not like philanthropy hasn't been around in the musician scene. I just think that it's more widely spread amongst the actual well-to-do rock stars than it is the, just scraping by.
Well, because we have this scarcity mentality. We have this feeling that we're all fighting for scraps, and meanwhile we've got the CEO of Spotify who's saying that we're not making enough content, to warrant him actually paying what we think our art is worth. He's decided that the market has placed a different value on what our art is, which is next to nothing. But I think that I am a firm believer in that idea that the more you give, the more you get. And what I've noticed with the company that I work for,
you get out of life what you put into it.
Absolutely. And this company that I work for, what I've noticed is that because they do what is right, they take care of their employees, they give to charity, they bend over backwards to take care of their staff and their community. What I've noticed is that the return on it is something that money can't buy. It's you get these charitable organizations, or you get things like Good Business Colorado, or you get media outlets who want to give free coverage to this company because of all the positive things that they do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it ends up like you can take your ad budget and put that into philanthropic endeavors, and I would contend that you would probably get better mileage out of that than putting it into a Facebook ad.
Through word of mouth and just people that
you start to build a reputation for yourself.
Yeah, you build up a reputation. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Hey, I think we're onto something here, man. This isn't a conversation I've been hearing a lot of bands have, so I think we're onto something here. The every time benefit show, man.
I mean, I just feel like there's plenty of time to plan right now. And if the next
God is there
Flexx Bronco, if the next Flexx Bronco show is a fundraiser, I'll be there. You know what I mean? I'm totally all for. The last one wasn't a fundraiser. Everybody got paid, and I paid my plane ticket, and it was just a good old rock and roll party, and that's okay every now and then. But I wish the clubs would get involved, because you can't do it without the club's involvement too, because they have to be on board as well.
Right.
And so clubs got to get involved, bands got to get involved, and figure out a streamlined way to just make more shows fundraisers. I think that's an important thing. I'm all for it. I'm with you.
Maybe like a matched percentage or something like that. Like the musicians agree to this percentage and the venue will match this percentage or something like that. Or we'll match dollar for dollar.
Too, just in general, they won't feel so bad about paying $20 to get into the show if they know that $10 from every ticket is going to help Children's Cancer Fund.
Right.
Or it's going to a specific person who's it's being targeted towards a specific family. I would rather work with individuals one-on-one, but I'm fine with it going to just a general fund as well that spreads out.
Right.
I like to. The reason I would rather just work with an individual or a couple or a family is that for me it just makes it more personal, and you get to watch the progress and hear about the results of what's going on. And you won't forget them and they'll never forget you, and that's a rad feeling. Would I go and do like an acoustic show for like a bunch of kids at like a cancer treatment center that helped their families and everything? Yeah, totally, that would be awesome. I would absolutely do that. It would be rad. I think that would be an uplifting experience for all parties involved.
One of the things that I've been taking an interest in, since I can't play shows, I've been playing a shitload of guitar and trying to build up my chops. And there's a guy who lives around the.
I've been watching your. I've been watching those. Those are great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I had to take a break because I can't stand social media in its current form. But what can you do? But I have thought about how enjoyable that was, and I had thought about what I got out of it, and that there were people who gave me positive feedback on it. And so what I've started doing is, there's a guy who lives around the corner from me. He's this 70-year-old dude who plays the cajon, and we go sit down. He sits on his cajon and I bust out my guitar and we just play for the kids, the little kids in the neighborhood. We do entertainment for the neighbors.
The cajon, does that mean balls? Cajones?
It does. Dude, that must be the root of it.
A 70-year-old man playing with his balls?
Dude, that actually, now that you mention that has got to be the root of the term cajon, right? Like it's like a cajon is a box that you sit on and bang on. It's like, I wonder if cajon like comes from the idea of like the ball box. Like it's a box that you rest your balls on and you bang on. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I was just trying to lighten the mood a little bit because we had such a serious
getting heavy, dude.
For a few minutes.
See, dude, and I want to call something to your attention. You said people would only. You said you thought you'd only be able to make it about a half hour, and we've been going an hour and 45 minutes. I just want to call that to your attention.
Dude, because I got to take a piss and I got to eat lunch.
All right. Well, hey, man, I was going to say it's a good time because I got to piss and I got to eat lunch too. But it's really good to see your face, man. I love you lots. I learned a lot about you in this conversation that I didn't know before. And one of my favorite things about doing this is I get to learn things about my friends that I haven't gotten to learn in the brief exchanges we have once in a blue moon when we play a show together. So I really appreciate you taking the time. You look so happy and healthy and tan, and you're in love, and it's beautiful. And I could not be happier for you, man. I want to come out and see you soon. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing your face in real life. I am the happiest that I've been in fucking ages, man. And I think moving out of the city, I think more people should do it. And I think that getting out, getting some space, getting some fresh air can really alleviate a lot of stress. San Francisco was fantastic for me and for a lot of bands and for a lot of my friends' bands. You guys have come and played a lot of shows.
Yeah, we had a great time in San Francisco.
But those days are over in San Francisco and the Bay Area in general. There's a lot of people holding on. There's a lot of people holding on to the glory days, and those days are over, and there's going to be a new San Francisco, and I don't know what shape it's going to be in. I don't know what form it's going to take. And honestly, I don't care. I had a great run there of 18 years. I don't give a shit. I love my friends there. I don't care what happens. I don't think that San Francisco is going to be the San Francisco that it once was. And I have deep roots there, and I love those roots, and I love all my friends.
But the scene as you knew it is gone.
The scene that I knew it is gone, and I really think that more people should venture out of the cities. I really think that once you get over the initial shock of not being there anymore, it goes away pretty quickly because,
Right.
I mean, I am surrounded by beauty every single day. You know, we sit out in my
looks
backyard.
gorgeous.
It is. It's fucking. There's a vortex here, and I'm in tune with it. And everybody just needs to find the vortex that they're in tune with, and I think they'll find a place where their spirit can grow, and you know they can live a more positive life. And San Francisco's a vortex too, but I feel that too many people. I think that manhole in the hate district where the vortex comes out of, I think that got blocked up a long time ago, and I think that it's
with ID
you know,
tags. It's clogged up with tech bro ID tags, man.
Exactly. And there's people like me, and there's other people that I know that have moved out of. I'm just using San Francisco as an example, but because that's my experience. But you take the knowledge that you gained from living in these places, these cultural centers, and you move out to places like Joshua Tree, you move out to places like, you know, Tucson, Arizona, and you bring that PMA, that positive mental thing with you out to these places, and you spread that. And that's how new things evolve. That's how new scenes start. That's how new communities start. And it's happening more and more.
If you're willing to be open to it. If you're willing to be open to it and adapt. Yeah. You know, a great philosopher once said, "The ring is bupkis. I found it in a Cracker Jack box. The Schwartz is in you, Lone Star. It's in you."
Well, look at there. I just want to real quick. Look at Arizona. Arizona is going to turn blue, and it's going to turn blue because of this huge wave of people from places like Colorado and California
who want to go somewhere else.
They want to go somewhere else where there's a little bit better quality of life, a little more bang for your buck, and they are converting these right-wing conservative states they're turning them into more open-minded communities, more open-minded policies that are ancient. And
well, they end up becoming more ideologically diverse because more people live there, you know, and they end up being, because of the influx and the mix of ideological backgrounds, they end up becoming purple, you know, which is really what you want nationwide is, you know, you want that confluence of ideas, that confluence and conflict of ideas, because that's how we're all going to grow and evolve, you know, and it takes people moving there. You know, there's a lot of people right now from Denver who, you know, Denver's gotten kind of blown out, so there's a lot of people going down to Arizona. There's a lot of people going out to Oklahoma. There's, you know, a lot of people going to these different communities that they wouldn't have normally gone to. You know, you're leaving the Bay Area and going to Joshua Tree, and it's going to, you know, I think that's like, it's like the people who fled it's like when the Black Plague came, the first bubonic plague came, and a bunch of people got wiped out, so all the serfs like left the masters that they served, and it ended feudalism. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to because of this, and because of changes that are really painful changes at the time, it's going to cause us to grow as a civilization.
Just the painful changes in my life of having things in my world that I built around me and for others being taken from me, and having to figure out a solution. Just moving down here, I've grown exponentially.
Right. And by necessity, you know.
By necessity, I've found new happiness. I've found beauty in animals that I didn't like, relate to before. I have a new love for fucking rodents. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill like rodents. I'd rather save the rat and relocate it than kill it. Even though I have rat traps all around, like I have poison all around my house. When we were talking about that earlier, but like
before we got on, you were talking about how you thought you smelled a dead thing.
I definitely smelled the dead thing, and when I get off the call with you, I'm going to go and investigate further. But I have a whole entire new love for plants, nature, animals, and just living things in general. I hate spiders. I fucking am scared shitless of spiders, but I have relocated more spiders and bugs and insects outside of my house than I have killed them in the last like 6 months. You know what I mean?
And that's a big change. Yeah.
It's a huge fucking change for me. And any of my friends watching know how fucking scared I am of fucking like the smallest little spider. I freak out like a little bitch.
You're becoming a desert rat, dude. You're becoming a desert rat. Dude, and it's making me want to put double time on my plans to move to the mountains. I'm telling you, because Sarah and I want to move to the.
Man, I mean, move to the mountains, move out of the cities, at least build some type of a life for yourself outside of the cities. Make a change by maybe every weekend or every other weekend or 2 days a month or something. Get out of the cities, go and find a happy magic place where you don't necessarily have to build a life, but you can at least recenter yourself on a regular basis.
It's so important. It's so important.
And the whole Joshua Tree thing started for me a long time ago, back in the 90s. But I would come here and I would feel centered when I left. I would go home and people said I looked glowing. And
you're definitely glowing, man. You look really healthy and really happy.
But I would bring my friends here and they would have the same experience. I look forward to sharing this experience with you as well and your family. And, I think just a lot of people come out here to party, and that's great. But I came out here to change and start a new life and start over, and I've been able to, and I'm grateful for that. And I love visitors. I love seeing people. I look forward to hugs again, like long, big hugs. I love hugging people.
Tell me about it, man. I'm a big hugger, and not being able to hug people has been really hard.
Oxytocin, man. You release that 20-second hug, and you release the oxytocin, and you feel good. And I wish it sooner than later. I can't wait to see more people. I can't wait to see my band in 2 weeks. Yeah. By the way, I just want to say that Tony's, I want to give Tony a shout out. It's going to be called Rock Hard with Tony Misfit, Tony. It's going to be Rock Hard with Tony Quiroz. I think he's going back to his given name. It's Rock Hard with Tony Quiroz.
Cool.
And I think it's going to be on YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff.
That's rad. Dude, I've been wondering what Tony's been up to, so I'm really excited to see it. Keep an eye out for that. Rock Hard with Tony Quiroz. Flexx Bronco is going to be on it here soon. Find your vortex, I think, is the thesis of this episode. Find your vortex, man. Yeah,
man. Find your vortex. Find your inner hippie. Whatever, Like, I like the Grateful Dead. I will listen to the Grateful Dead, but you're not going to find me spinning around. You're not going to find me spinning around in a circle, pretending that I'm some spiritual enlightened being. You either are or you aren't. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing that's nice about getting older, Phil, is you have fewer attachments to clubs and teams. Hopefully, if you're a well-adjusted adult, you have fewer attachments to clubs and teams. And the older I get, the less I care about cool guy points. Like, I'm dada now. You know what I mean? I don't care about being cool, so I can like the Grateful Dead and like Thin Lizzy and Iron Maiden. I can be a gigantic fucking Ween fan and not feel like it's some sort of guilty pleasure. And I can.
Ween is the punk rock Grateful Dead. Ween is awesome. And,
Ween is the punk rock Grateful Dead. I've never heard it put that way, but that is so. They're the punk rock Grateful Dead.
everybody in Flexx Bronco is a huge Ween fan. We go to Ween shows.
I've started taking the guys to Ween shows. They've started coming with me.
Oh man, I mean, they change up the set every night. It's, you know, it's a transcendent experience for people that are not assholes like deadheads. You know what I mean? Like you know, like you go to a Ween show and you look to your right and you look to your left and you see like your punk rock buddy, and then you see your like, you know, your friend that's acclimated to normal business life, but has punk rock roots, you know, and rock
and metalheads and hippies and nerds and the people who've been following them since the 90s who are just like kind of weird fucking 90s Aspergery slacker burnouts. Like you see a lot of that there. It's the most fun environment, man.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. And I've been to Dead shows and I feel much more like in my place at a Ween show than I would ever feel at a fucking Dead show, you know?
Dude,
like,
well then let's do this. If we don't get to play a show together, when Ween does shows again, they're going to do the Dillon Amphitheater at some point, or Red Rocks. I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure what'll end up happening. They've rescheduled their Dillon Amphitheater date. You should come out here for a Ween show and we'll go together.
Well, I can pretty much guarantee you that at least Kevin will do it as well. So,
dude, let me know
maybe,
when they start doing shows again. Let's talk about it.
You holler at us, man, and we'll make something happen, man. Because you know, we love Ween. I'm sure Andy would come out too. So, maybe we can just make a Flexx Bronco MF Ruckus show out of the Ween show as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I've converted. I've taken everybody in the band but Logan. I haven't taken Logan to a Ween show, but now that he's working at the hippie chicken wing joint with me, I'm starting to like nudge him over. We started covering with my own bare hands, and he's into that, and has started like, you know, I'm starting to turn him bit by little bit. So yeah, man.
Kevin's brought up some Ween covers for us to do over the years and stuff, and I think it's just a matter of, we're very picky about our covers that we do. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, so I think we just haven't found one that works with our sound yet. But I foresee a Ween Flexx Bronco cover in the future as well.
Cool. Well, hey, man, I love you. I know you got to piss and eat, so I'm going to let you go. Try not to do them both at the same time. I love you lots. It's been really good to see you, dude. Give my love to the guys, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Say hi to the crew for me, man.
Will do. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. This has been episode 115 of the motherfucking podcast. Thanks again to our patrons for supporting everything that we do. We love you guys. Thanks to my guest, Phil Bronco from Flexx Bronco. Philanthropic, his new stage name.
That's my name. See you guys later. Bye.
All right. It's been great, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.